Okay, everybody, welcome to the Greenfork Food for Thought podcast. Today's guest is Lindsay Ferrara. She is a registered dietitian. She's the owner of Pinnacle Nutrition, a private practice in Saratoga Springs that offers nutrition testing, goal setting, and tailor-made plans to help people understand and execute nutrition and planning and incorporating it into their everyday lives.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah,
Stephen.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a little while now. I have used your services before. We did the metabolic testing and the InBody scan, and it's really cool. And we were talking, and I just thought it'd be cool to have you on here.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
thanks for taking the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you're a dietitian,
Yeah.
sort of a nutrition coach, all encompassing. You know a lot better what you do than I know. So tell us what you do, and before that, how you got started, why you're passionate about nutrition and everything.
So I grew up always fascinated with, buying the books at the bookstore where you could flip through and alphabetically go to the different vitamins or supplements and how they could help different ailments and illnesses and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then when I was in high school during study hall, you got to go to the guidance counselor's office to, look through the college books to see what different colleges offered. And I didn't even realize you could go to school for nutrition at that point. And so I was like, hey, good, that's what I'm going to do. It wasn't even a second thought. So I went to Plattsburgh and then got my master's through SAGE. And then kind of ironically, started a private practice in 2020, which incorporated a breathing test, which was kind of crazy. But so I've been in this practice for 5, almost going on 6 years.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to I do the metabolic testing and then the body composition scanning. I just feel like, there are some dietitians out there that are, nutrition coaches or help you with the nutrition portion of, their lifestyle or whatever. But without really knowing and having the data to tell them, okay, well, here's some numbers to guide you and what you need, and for me to tailor a meal plan for you.
Yeah.
So I just feel like what I offer is unique because the metabolic testing really tells us how their metabolism is functioning and how many calories they're burning at rest, which you've had done before. Yeah. And then to try to check their progress over time using the body composition, the InBody, is way better. And it's so much more encouraging for these people to see, oh my gosh, even though my weight hasn't changed, I've gained muscle and I've lost body fat.
Yeah.
So it just takes the scale, the home scale kind of out of the equation. And then I just got my personal trainer certification, and I haven't really done anything with it yet, and I'm going to be launching a 5-week online program. So people who don't want to do the one-on-one with me can, learn something through this Metabolic Mastery program I'm coming out with.
Nice.
So,
Metabolic Mastery. I like that. That's cool. Yeah. I think it is really cool to do the metabolic testing in the InBody just to have that data, because like you said, it's much more than just the scale. I think people are obsessed with the scale and just want to lose weight. But what they really want, what we understand as nutrition professionals, is no, it's body composition. It's how your body feels and how it's working.
Yeah.
Is everything working properly? Are you fueled properly? That's way more important than a number on a scale.
Yeah.
And we can talk about body fat and how fat accumulates around your organs, and that makes it harder to your organs to work and process properly. And so if we can eliminate that, that's way better than just losing weight.
Right. And I don't think you've been on my new InBody where it does the phase angle, which is an indicator of your overall cellular health and the cell integrity.
Oh, cool.
And then it does give you kind of a measurement for visceral fat as well.
That's cool. So how does these things that you have, how do they actually work?
So the metabolic testing, it's 10 to 15 minutes of breathing through a tube. So I typically see people in the morning because I want them to be fasted, no exercise, just pretty much at rest, as close to rest as possible. And we get them in this seat that you're sitting in, nice and comfortable, and excuse me, and then they breathe into this tube just normally. They have nose clips on their nose. And it's really fascinating because your body requires oxygen to break down the fuel that you eat into, the energy that your body uses, ATP. And so this machine, you can go online and plug in your height, age, and weight, and you can get an estimate, which everybody of your height, age, and weight gets the same estimate when you go online. Yeah. This is actually measuring oxygen consumption. And so when you can measure oxygen, there's a number that equates to, so it's actually 4.825 calories that are burned per liter of oxygen consumed. Okay. I think I said that right. Yeah. So, this is considered the gold standard for determining somebody's metabolic rate, or their BMR, basal metabolic rate, or also called resting energy expenditure. There's a bunch of terms out there that are kind of used interchangeably. But that is 10 to 15 minutes, and then we go over the results, and then the InBody is like 30 seconds. It's super fast, super easy. But again, I tell people to try to not have a big meal, try to not exercise right before you do the InBody. Yeah. And then every time you have that test, you just want to compare apples to apples. So you want to try to be under the same conditions. And it sort of gives you similar information, right? I mean, so the two of them together would make like a really good combination, but ultimately it comes down to BMR. The metabolic testing uses oxygen. The InBody uses like an electromagnetic pulse thing. Yeah, it's sending like a current through your body, and it can tell like fat versus water versus muscle. Yeah, it's crazy. That's really cool to know. Yeah, I'm fascinated by that. And the InBody will estimate your calorie burn as well, right? Which is a little bit more specific and like customized to the person. It uses your lean body mass in that equation because it's measuring your lean body mass. Yeah. So it's a little bit more accurate, but still the breathing test is way more accurate. Yeah. And then there's is it called the DEXA scan where you go into DEXA scan where you go into like a big pool of water and it measures displacement and all that? So apparently and supposedly that is the gold standard for, bone density and body fat. However, I've had 2 clients now who have come in with their DEXA scan results and wanting to compare to the InBody. And this InBody is super consistent. Like I haven't had any really wonky results. This one person's DEXA scan, he had it done in a different state and then came here and had it done, and it was wildly different. Like saying that his body fat, and he was super lean, saying his body fat percentage was like 26%. And so we did the InBody, and the InBody was much closer to what his DEXA was in the other state. Yeah. So I don't know what causes that. Yeah. But I had a guy come in similar who, I don't remember where his first one was, but he had a second one done locally, I think Latham, and it did not make any sense. Yeah. So I don't quite get that. And you're getting radiation, and it's more expensive. It's harder to to schedule it. So this is just super easy, and it's pretty accurate. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when they first came out, I was coaching in Arizona at the time, and we got one into the gym, and everybody was like, oh, we got to use this. And I was on it like every week, just tracking. But I don't think I think the InBody scan is great, and the metabolic testing is great. It's like, but whatever data set you have, there's like wearables that'll track stuff now. Yeah. And like whatever you're using to get that data, as long as you're consistent with it, it's going to be beneficial. Yeah. So even like your Apple Watch or whatever, you're tracking your steps and it tracks, calorie burn. That watch is actually plugging in one of those equations. So like it'll start you, like it starts me at 14 something calories is my, what I burn just at rest, my BMR. But I know from doing my metabolic testing that my burn is much higher than that. Yeah. But that's what those wearables start you at. They're using those predictive equations. Yeah. But as long as you're looking at your trends over time, you're still, benefiting from those. Absolutely. Or not, if the case may be. Like I got a little crazy. With the Oura Ring and the Apple Watch and blood glucose monitor or continuous glucose monitor. And I ended up just having to step away from all of it for a while. It was starting to make me crazy.
Yeah. You can definitely get obsessed with the data and then like lose sight of, your intuition, how you feel. And I feel like there's two camps, but I kind of put myself in the middle. Like I like the data.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like to check in, but ultimately I've become an intuitive eater and, I'm all about that. But
I started to really freak out. Like when it would tell me my sleep was poor, I would feel okay. But then I'm like, should I try to take a nap today? Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And it was like
anxiety.
messing up like my intuition, I guess. And like just feeling how I feel.
Right. Just being okay with like, okay, I'm a little tired today. Maybe that's it, So once you get this information, what do you do with it then?
So we talk about goals. I usually go over any previous blood work that my clients have had, supplements, medications, family history. I think I already mentioned, we talk about what their goals are. Mm-hmm. And then, if I have clients who love macros and they want to have like customized macros, so I can do that. I have a meal planning platform where, it's pretty cool because I can plug in whatever I want the meal plan to have for this person. Mm-hmm. So I can plug in like the macros. I can plug in if they need extra vitamin D or omega-3s or, whatever. And it customizes and creates this meal plan in an app. But then the client doesn't even have to follow it. They can go and plug in their own meals and it will kind of guide them to keep them in the targets that I've provided. Yeah. They can make different swaps and check the database for the different recipes. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And then so I typically see them back every month is usually. Sometimes they want to come in a little sooner. Sometimes it's, every couple months. But so just trying to make little tweaks and get them on the right page and using the Eat Love as a learning tool. Even if they don't follow it, it kind of gives them an idea of portion sizes and what makes up a balanced meal. And, how do you create a meal that's going to be satiating and so.
Again, I think it comes to like the tech and the data and stuff, like giving people that feedback to see like, I've noticed like when I work with people, I don't do it much anymore, but when I did nutrition coaching, I would keep it as simple as possible with macros and stuff and then have them use something like MyFitnessPal. And then just to see like, okay, if I eat 4 ounces of chicken, like what does that mean on paper? What does that mean in the data?
Right.
Like how much do I need to eat throughout the day? So having a tool like that, I think, is super helpful.
Yeah.
For a lot of people that just don't know anything about nutrition.
And even with food logging, I have the same mindset as the wearables. Like you can do it for a few days or a week and just kind of see where you're at and see what changes you need to make to get moving in the right direction. Yeah. And then ultimately once you eat a certain way or you incorporate something, a new habit, I mean, it sticks. And then you know what 4 ounces of chicken looks like. You don't have to actually measure it anymore and stuff like that. So it can be helpful for anybody just to do a check-in, but I don't think anybody should really track lifelong, even though some people do.
Some people like that, and they're like the type A folks that, just to track everything and it works for them and great. Yeah. But for most people, I feel like it's just a really good educational tool, feedback tool, to learn about different foods and what it actually means on paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
I've got my personal training certification because I feel like a lot of it fits so well with what I do. And I have so many clients who are like, I don't really want to go to the gym. I don't know what to do at home. And so I wanted to be able to kind of guide them. And so like, I don't see myself being a trainer at a gym necessarily, but like, how did you get started with what you do?
I got into it through yoga. It was kind of like a personal change that I wanted to make in my life. So I went and did yoga training and then became a teacher and then fell in love with just helping people and movement and how the body works. Then I went and got my personal trainer certification through NASM. Okay. And then just started working in that field. And like, for me, it was kind of a lifestyle change. Like I wanted to get out of kitchens and get into just another thing to do. I really loved working out. I was passionate about nutrition. At the same time, I was starting Greenfork. So it was kind of like it just all came together. I started working with people one-on-one and doing group classes. And then people would ask me like, or they would say like, I'm not seeing results. I'm like, well, you're eating like garbage. You only see me 1 hour a week and you're not eating right. So how can I help you there? And it was turned into me starting a meal prep business.
And that all came together like at the same,
like within a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Arizona, did the yoga thing, started teaching, almost immediately got the NASM, started teaching there too, and kind of combined those things. And then Greenfork popped up. So yeah, I think it just came about as one, wanting to put myself in that atmosphere a little bit more, just being in gyms and helping people and being around that culture of like, betterment, I guess, for my own personal reasons. And then I just fell in love with that and just kept going with it.
Yeah. And so you see firsthand too, how, fitness and nutrition go hand in hand because you're in both.
Yeah, that's how Greenfork was born.
Yeah.
Because, you can't out-train a bad diet, right?
Yep.
It's a good one. But, you'd see people moving the way they move and you can help them with all that. You can teach them to strength train, teach them about the importance of zone 2 cardio and, all the things. There's tons to it. But at the end of the day, if you're not supporting that with proper nutrition, you're fighting an uphill battle. So it just makes sense to combine the two, right? And if you can get very far with just nutrition and you can get pretty far with just exercise. But when you join the two, it's like, skyrocketing. So it makes sense that you would want to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get so overwhelmed with, all the different exercises and then how NASM's approach is like the tiered approach. And do people actually work their way through that? I feel like I've been working out my whole life and I've never had like the overhead squat assessment done on me or something, that sort of stuff. And I'm just like,
yeah, I think that for most people, general population, they just want to be able to move better.
Yeah.
And so like if I get somebody new in the gym, I do primarily just group coaching now. And a lot of the folks over there at Battleground have been there for a while, so they kind of know how to move. But we're getting an influx of new people all the time. So when I work with somebody, I kind of just analyze their form, make sure they're doing things properly. And that's, I'm not doing overhead squat assessments. That's like more physical therapy. And I think most people just want to move better. And if you have somebody like Reba who's writing great programming, you get a little bit of everything. So that mobility and stability, the power work, the strength training, the hypertrophy work, like there's all different phases that anybody could be in.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't think too much about that unless you get a client that like really wants to be like very, very serious about their fitness goals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like really training towards a specific end goal or something like that. Most
people just want to move and feel better. Feel a little bit stronger, work through some injuries or, improve their mobility. I think that's what most people want. Just like most people kind of just want to lose weight and feel better. Right. So that's the majority. And then, I do work with some athletes. My friend Katie, she's great. She's a very fit person. So like she's come to me with different goals. So we're able to, and that's a one-on-one thing. We're able to say, okay, we're going to work strength. We're just going to build up strength in your posterior chain for like 6 weeks. And then we're going to move into hypertrophy and try to focus on some target areas, Yeah. So it's kind of fun when you are able to do that with people.
Yeah.
But most of the time people just want to like move and feel good.
Right. And that, I guess that's what you get out of group exercise too. It's not very specific to just you and working on your goals. It's like a group effort. So the programming has to be for the whole group.
Right. And you can think of it that way too in a broader sense, like with you're trying to incorporate into, like the app and your whole package. Mm-hmm. Put a little bit of stability and mobility in there, and then just like basic movements, a lot of the bang for your buck type of movements, I call them. The core 4, like squatting, benching, deadlifting, pulling, rowing, whatever. Basic stuff in the programming, and that will suit 90% of folks out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like, and this is not nutrition related, but like Pilates versus like, can people get a really good strength workout doing Pilates and
I don't,
like
there's
yoga?
there's different modalities for different results, right?
Yeah.
So yoga for me is more mental.
Yeah.
But physically, it also does challenge your body. It's a lot of isometric work and a lot of deep stretching and flexibility. So it's great for your joints. It's great for coordination, balance, and then stability. So with the isometric holds, like if you're holding a lunge for a long time, you're in that isometric phase. So your muscles are contracting and staying there. It's great. You're not gonna get big, huge muscles doing yoga. You know, you're not gonna gain as much strength as you could with weightlifting. Pilates, I don't know that much about, honestly.
Yeah,
but
same,
it's
because I have some clients that do only Pilates, and so I'm kind of like,
it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I think
just moving.
It's moving. It's a lot of core work, a lot of deep core work, which is great, especially for women. But I think the most efficient, effective way to build strength is to lift weights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like CrossFit or like powerlifting or anything. It can just be like, you know, progressive overload over time.
Yeah, I just read something, I want to say it was this morning, that the loss of muscle is more detrimental than gaining some body fat. That like over time, as you age especially, you really want to maintain and build. I mean, when you get older, it's harder, but to be able to maintain your muscle is way more important than worrying about, you know, gaining a little bit of body fat.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
A friend of mine, Sarah Avery, has a osteoporosis program over at Battleground with older women, and she focuses on that. Like as women, especially as you get older, it's so important to keep muscle strength. It puts tension on the bone, and she could describe this way better than I could, but it puts tension on the bone and supports the bone structure and health. And prevents osteoporosis. But also like I said, balance, you know, walking around as you get older, you lose a little bit of function, you know. So you want to be able to, if you fall, be able to brace yourself and get back up and have the strength in your muscles and bones to, you know, just be able to navigate life. Step off a curb, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and interestingly, my husband last night asked me, we were talking about GLP-1s.
Yeah.
I think it was on the news for some reason. And he's like, well, that can't be good for like women, especially in bone health. And so I was like, you know, I really don't know. I feel like people have seen a lot of positives.
Yeah.
We don't know all the negatives down the road, but I don't know if they've started studying bone health with like significant weight loss. But
I think it's still pretty new.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research coming out. I'm friends with a woman, Jenna Hume, she was on the podcast, and she works with GLP-1s. She's a nurse practitioner. And, you know, she always says proper nutrition and exercise first before we get on these things. But I think, and I know people that are on them and use them for weight loss. And, you know, I think they're beneficial. I think that if you can eat a proper diet, and you can exercise, I think it's a great accompaniment to, you know, a good program that you have already. But I don't think you should just rely on them.
Right. And I do feel like anybody who is considering going on one or even considering coming off, like I would love to help these people just to, you know, to be able to track if they are weaning off, to track body composition and see if like the body fat is coming on way quicker or faster than we want to see, or you know, just being able to guide food choices and making good choices, you know. And even if they're thinking of going on but they're not sure, like maybe there's some tweaks we can make in here before, you know, making that final decision.
Absolutely.
Because I think ultimately that is kind of a final decision, even though there are a lot of people that go off them, that want to go off them and don't want to be on them long term. But
Well, I just think you have to meet people where they're at too. You know? It's hard because if you've had some seriously obese people in here, you know, diet and exercise is obviously a strong foundation, but it's really hard for them. You know, it could be hard mentally. There could be addictions. There could be mental disorders, eating disorders, whatever it may be. And if you have a medication that can help break down that barrier, I think it's, why not? You know, I think it's great.
Just to have them gain like a little bit of hope and confidence, you know, to see that. And then I feel like that can drive a little bit of motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I've seen people that have done really well on it.
Yeah,
you know, and
same.
Yeah, it's good.
Same.
So did you ever work in like a clinical setting?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Because I remember you telling me that the metabolic testing, while you use it for your purposes, it actually is used for something else.
Well, I knew about it because we used it at Glens Falls Hospital in the nutrition department for our outpatients, but it was mostly for like diabetes and obesity. And I remember thinking like, this is a great tool for anybody. Like everybody wants to, you know, back then it was fat free and, you know, watching your fat intake. And I'm like, everybody wants to lose a couple pounds. Like to be able to really know what your body needs is invaluable. Like, so when I started my practice, I just knew I wanted a machine like that to be able to help people.
What is metabolic disorder, and can that help track it or identify it?
So metabolic dysfunction or disorder is, I would say, at the core of that is insulin resistance.
Okay.
And so insulin resistance can lead to where your body isn't really able to deal with all the glucose in your blood. Can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, like all of these things kind of fall under that umbrella. So in here, I do look at people's blood work. I will help guide them and say, okay, well, if you're going to be getting blood work soon, maybe you could ask them for a fasting insulin or, you know, a hemoglobin A1C or, you know, lipoprotein B, that sort of thing, because those would be the early indicators if there's something going on with the with your insulin and your glucose. I also have not really recommended, but I will sometimes talk to my clients about the continuous glucose monitoring. Yeah. So, you know, being able to see in real time the food you eat and how your body responds to it. Like if you're constantly getting these huge blood sugar spikes, that down the road could potentially lead to insulin resistance and metabolic disease, dysfunction. So I wouldn't say that what I do directly measures that. Right. But like with the InBody, being able to see what your visceral fat is. If you have a visceral fat over a certain threshold, then that's going to be a risk factor. And so everything I do really is to help people bring their insulin down and control their blood sugars, control their hunger and fullness and their satiety, and balancing everything. Yeah. And being able to like understand their bodies and also be able to block out some of the static noise out there that's like diet culture. Yes. Which I think is also pretty big, just to give people like some encouragement and reinforcement that, you know, these they seem simple. It doesn't sound like it's some, you know, groundbreaking new diet that I'm telling these people. Yeah. But that's not what we want, you know. In the long run, doing all these crazy diets is actually downregulating metabolism and not boosting it. So we really need to be careful. There's like a balance, but you're absolutely right with meeting people where they're at. I once had a person come in who was making weight for the military and had a log too, was eating 500 calories a day. That's it? Because she wanted to make weight to get back into service. Yeah. And she came to me, her metabolism was in the tank. Yeah. She wasn't even like able to go to the bathroom. And so it was like, all right, well, now what do I do? I'm coming to you because I don't know where to go from here. I don't want to just gain all the weight back. And so it's like, you know, you're taking in 500. I'm not going to send you home and have you eating 2,000 right off the bat. Yeah. So you got to kind of, you know, inch people in the direction with small little changes. Yeah. But that's where the magic is. That's like the difficult or the challenging client or patient that you have, right? I worked with some fighters. And it's the same with exercise too, meeting people where they're at. I've worked with some fighters who do drastic weight cuts to make weight for a fight.
And usually it's like, I've had a guy that's like 30 pounds in 6 weeks. And I'm like, oh boy, what are you going to do?
Wow.
I'm like, and they don't want to fight at another class. So they end up, so I've helped them just, with a simple macro plan, like, okay, try to get your protein in, carbs are your friend. And then you match that with, exercise and do a weight loss protocol. But at the end, like the 2 weeks or maybe 1 week prior, it's water cutting, it's dehydration and all that stuff, which is not very good. But, these are the sort of clients that I've had to work with that have presented me a challenge, and it is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, I would never recommend this for anybody, but given your circumstances,
right.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, I wanted to ask you about, like, you had mentioned certain diet myths and just nonsense that's out there. So many people will come to me and say, oh, what do you think of like carnivore or keto or, whatever it is. And I'm like, if it works for you, okay. But here's where you're missing out by not eating fruits and vegetables or whatever. Like,
Right.
So what do you think are some of like the more harmful ones or the crazier ones that you've heard?
I mean, the fact that, you can buy a book on Atkins or keto or intermittent fasting or any of these diets, and it almost makes it seem like it's a one size fits all. Like, you can buy this book and you can go on this diet and you're going to look like the person on the cover.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. And so in here, I try to, it's very personalized to the person and not just giving them a book and sending them on their way. I have a hard time with intermittent fasting, like not a hard time. I don't recommend it to my clients. If they're already doing it, fine. I think that's completely fine. I feel like if people can get off of like this food abundance and constantly grazing and picking all day and trying to limit their breakfast, trying to eat light, but then they're hungry and they're just picking.
Yeah.
And your blood sugar is just constantly spiking and it's up all day long. If we can just keep them to 3 meals and maybe a snack, it kind of has the same effect as intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And I think most people do intermittent fasting wrong, because really you want to eat in the morning and have less at night. And most people are trying to push themselves until like noon or 1 and not eat until then.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be cautious. I've even stopped my scroll on social media when I see a supplement or something that's just so flashy. It's like, oh, this is going to enhance your natural GLP-1 or,
oh, there's so much,
there's so much stuff. And it's even caught my attention because it's just so like in your face and it looks great and it's all pretty and professional and whatever. But I just think that if anything is promising that, anybody can do this and this is what's going to fix you, then you just have to run.
There is no one size fits all.
Right.
At all. And I think that's great about what you do, is that you're able to actually look at, the feedback, the evidence, and then supply an educated response to what they should do, right? Like, there's things that work for everybody, but I feel like for the most part, like 90% of people just need a well-balanced, portion-controlled plan.
Right.
And being able to stick to that. And then that's where you kind of have to navigate.
Yeah.
I just saw one that I keep getting ads for, like this fat loss supplement, and I hate it.
I know.
Like the only supplements I really ever recommend are, if they need them, a multivitamin, a fish oil, omega-3s, 6s, and like a creatine. Yeah. But that's it. Yeah. Unless there's some specific thing that they need, which is kind of beyond my scope of practice anyways.
Yeah, and that's same for me. I feel like creatine is, the most studied supplement out there. And as long as you're getting one that's from a reputable company, I think it can be helpful. I go back and forth with it. Like I'll take it and then I don't take. I feel like to really benefit, you have to be consistent with it. But multivitamin, like if somebody has, a wonky thyroid issue, there might be some specific vitamins there that I'll kind of look at to see if they're getting enough. And if not, recommend a supplement. But there's really not the people that come in with the whole list of supplements. I'm like,
I can't
and a lot of them, I don't even know what the heck they are. They just heard about it online or something, or a friend is like, oh, you got to take this.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like there's these things that like, oh, you need this. It's like, do I really? I don't think so. Yeah. I think I do athletic greens in the morning too.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one just because it's not, I don't eat a lot of greens every day. So it kind of fills in that gap for me. And that's what supplements should do, right? It's
Right.
fill in the gaps where you're not getting it through nutrition.
Yeah. Even like protein powder, I don't usually use it myself. I try to get it through food, but like, you know, my son doesn't eat any meat. And so he'll now make a smoothie and put in a protein powder that I got for him. And so I feel like that can help fill in gaps too, but I don't feel like it's a thing where everyone needs to go out and buy protein powder necessarily. Do you do protein powder?
I do.
You do?
Because
isn't there protein in the athletic greens or no?
No.
It's,
okay. It's sort of like a multivitamin, pre and probiotic, and greens powder. So it's I like things that are bang for your buck, where you get a lot of them in there. Yeah. You know, so I don't have to have a table full of different vitamins and minerals. And I also do a mineral compound too that is pretty cool, but I don't feel that I need it. I drink mineral water sometimes too. Yeah. There's a good book, and I want to ask you about, have you read any good books lately? It's called Win. Dr. James, I'm going to butcher his last name, DiCalermo, or it's some Italian last name.
No, I haven't.
It's a really good book, and he talks about simple diet and exercise programs, and then all different supplements. And he's a big proponent of mineral supplementation for athletes. It's more geared towards athletes, but I kind of follow his lead on that. Less is more approach. Get as much as you can from food, and then there's certain things where if you have a certain goal, which is why I take a protein supplement. If you have a certain goal, then you need to step it up a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
I was reading this book called Drop Acid. Cool. I don't know how, and I don't even want to really get into it too much because I find it so complicated, but it's all about uric acid. Oh, okay. And that's another indicator.
It's a catchy title then.
Yeah. It's another indicator of can be an indicator of metabolic dysfunction, and you can have your uric acid tested. But I just found it fascinating that like fructose is in so much high fructose corn syrup and just the sugar abundance. Yeah. And back, our ancestors would have fruit. They would like collect berries in the late summer and eat. Like when you eat fructose, it makes you more hungry. Yeah. And it shuts off, like it dampens your energy production or something like that. Like this is why I didn't really want to get into it, but I just find it so fascinating. And so now it's like you have a soda every day and it actually is making you want to store fat for the winter and eat more. Yeah. I don't know. So that one was interesting. Yeah. I always love throwing out there the Good Energy book.
Oh yeah, that is good.
It's a great book.
What I liked about that was that she encourages all these different tests, these blood work tests, that you wouldn't know about and your doctors don't tell you about. Right. Unless you come see somebody like you or a specialist in any sort of area.
I actually made a cheat sheet that's up on my board right there from all the values in that book of what the typical reference ranges are versus what, where you might want to tighten your range a little bit. Yeah. And I also thought it was fascinating that the reference ranges as they are right now are based on the current population, which is not the healthiest population. And so, even if you're fasting, glucose is, or like your triglycerides are 150 and it says, oh, that's normal. You really want them to be under 100. Yeah. So it's just kind of crazy how our reference ranges are not even that healthy.
And if you go to a doctor, like I got some blood work done, I got a nutrition panel, I got a hormonal panel, and a couple other things, triglycerides and everything. And I just wanted to see where I was. And, I didn't even get to talk to my doctor on the phone or anything. One of his nurses was like, oh, you're all good. You're in good ranges. And I'm like, well, not really. I should probably take these and I guess I could use ChatGPT or go to a professional and say, like, if these are my goals, this is where I want to be. How far out of range am I, and what do I need to do to get where I want to be? Yeah. And that's where somebody like you who has the information, like, about what the proper ranges are in alignment with your goals. Yeah. Right? Like, what do you have to do to get there?
Right. Yeah, it is. It's like false comfort or something. So
Yeah.
for example, like vitamin D, I just had my B12 checked and my vitamin D, and they were within the normal reference range. But I know that a vitamin D in the 30s is too low for functioning and your metabolism to function optimally. So I ended up getting a vitamin D supplement because I am going to take that for the winter.
Yeah.
And my B12 was actually, the range is like 232 to 1200 or something, and mine was 240, like just above.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, maybe I, need to up my vitamin B12 a little bit too.
Yeah.
Getting quality protein and meats and whatnot.
Yeah. So I think that's like one of the reasons why you should see a professional that can actually look at, because there's so many vitamins and minerals, right? And they all play a vital role. Someone like me, I don't even dive into that because it's like, it's too much, right? I just focus on like macros and exercise. But you can say like some random vitamin, oh yeah, here's why you need this and here's how you can get more of it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
That's got to be a lot to keep up there.
It is, but honestly, when I first start working with somebody, I just keep it very basic, and I'm like, we need to up your fiber, up your fruits and vegetables. Here's kind of the calorie range we're going to aim for, and you want to have this much protein. And I don't really get into all the little nitty gritty micronutrients, but certainly I have the platform where people can track, and we can really dive in, and it will tell us, what percentage of all the vitamins and nutrients that you're getting, and then we can make a plan to try to boost it where we need to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You mentioned fiber, and that's something that you had talked to me about before, is actually putting fiber on my label.
Yeah.
Why is fiber so important?
Oh my gosh. I don't ever believe in superfoods, like when the acai phase and like all that stuff. I don't really believe that there's a superfood, but fiber, which is more like a group. Yeah. So it's a carbohydrate, but it's the kind that your body can't digest. Mm-hmm. So you're getting all these benefits, but you're not getting calories from fiber. It's helping with, we think of it as just helping with our digestion, like our bowels and whatnot, but
keeps things moving.
Yeah, but it can lower your heart or your cholesterol. It can help keep your hormones in proper balance, because it will help you excrete like any hormone levels that are too high or that are like unhealthy. Mm-hmm. It can boost your metabolism because it's harder for your body to break down, and so your body uses calories or uses energy to break it down and to process it. It is fuel for your intestines, for your microbiome. Mm. So, I mean, it's crazy. And I just feel like on average, Americans consume about 15 grams. And so I try to push like my women to get 25 grams, men at least 35 grams. Yeah. But truly, we should be up way beyond that. Yeah. If you think about how, again, ancestors were eating, it was, we didn't have boxes of saltines and just, Doritos. It was
fruit juice, like minus the fiber, We didn't have any of that. Yeah. You had to eat whole foods.
Yes.
That contain the fiber.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just feel like we really we don't have enough fiber.
Yeah. I was reading about sort of like Eastern viewpoints on diet, exercise, health, longevity, whether it's the traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda. And they've got some interesting points, and I don't know how it matches up with what the Western thought of it is, but I saw this thing today that was like, you shouldn't eat fruit with other things. It's a Ayurvedic principle. Because of the digestion rate of different foods. They said that fruit typically takes about 3 hours to process. So if you eat fruit with, say, something that's like way higher fiber, it's going to take a lot longer to digest. The fruit sits in your gut and like ferments and creates these unwanted things in your stomach. It's a different way of looking at it, and it, I don't know the science behind it, but it sort of makes sense when you hear it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know traditional Chinese medicine focuses a lot on fasting and like cleansing, like colon cleansing.
Yeah.
So you do a fast, and then you'll have like an enema, or a, what's it called? Like, not a colonoscopy, where they kind of just clean you out.
Like the bowel?
Colonic.
Yeah.
Like a colonic,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, and they're big on like just the digestive health, you know, and like
Yeah.
cleansing that every once in a while. So it's just interesting, you know,
Yeah.
to think about.
I typically don't think cleanses are necessary, but I don't know. I've been reading a lot more about the fasting, not intermittent fasting per se, but just like going through some periods of fasting and how it, you know, helps your body recycle and, you know, get rid of old bad cells and the autophagy. But I haven't tried it. And I actually, it would be interesting if anyone out there is doing it to come in, but like to have metabolism checked, because I'm just curious how it would affect that.
Yeah, I think fasting, would slow your metabolism down, right?
Yeah.
And especially for extended periods of time, because you're not getting any nutrients in, right? And you're just, you know, it would slow things down. But I think there's a benefit to it. What I don't like, though, are juice cleanses. And I've done a handful of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're going to do a fast or a cleanse, it should just be like water and maybe like bone broth. Mm-hmm. And that's not for any scientific reason. It's just what I think feels good to me and what makes sense. You don't want to be drinking like apple juice and spiking your insulin and your glucose and then having it drop and not give your body anything else but sugar.
Right. That doesn't really make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think fasting can be cool, and I think there's aspects of, like I said, Ayurveda and TCM that can play in, that can be useful. But I was just wondering if you had ever explored any of that stuff.
I haven't. I have toyed with, getting a certification in functional nutrition, because I really love that. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. I do a little bit of, more holistic approach, but then I love my clinical background with looking at lab values and looking at data and numbers and stuff. But no, I've never really looked into the Ayurvedic nutrition.
It's a whole other system, and I'm just curious to see how it would compare. Like if you tried some of these practices and then used some of these data providing tech.
Yeah.
What would that look like? That'd be cool.
Maybe
I'll go through a protocol and we can track it together.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Yeah. What else you got going on? So you want to be a trainer, and you had messaged Rebecca and I about going over just a shadow, and you mentioned something about VO2 max.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So that's initially why I got my personal training certification. I completely forgot. Yeah. Because the metabolic testing machine I use, they also have a VO2 max machine.
Yeah.
And I know that, the zone 2 training, and just a lot of people are really interested in their VO2 max, and your Apple Watch can tell you, or your Garmin, what your VO2 max is, which I don't know how accurate those devices are.
Yeah. It's got to be through oxygen.
Yeah.
Right.
And carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So, but again, like to your point, if you're tracking the data just over time, then I feel like you're getting some benefit and some knowledge. But so I had toyed with getting a VO2 max machine, but then in this small little office space, I was like, all right, well, what would I get? A treadmill? Would that be too loud in here?
Yeah.
But I wanted to have some fitness background to be able to offer that. I've since had a client tell me that it wouldn't be worthwhile, that people won't come for that. And I don't know. What are your thoughts? I've had a lot of runners say that they would love to have that done.
Yeah. I think athletes would be your target there. I think I would be curious to know. I mean, I love all that stuff, right? You could hook me up to tubes and IVs and I would love it. But yeah, I've been curious to be able to test my VO2 max, and there's no place around here that I know of that does it. I think my friend has a gym in Albany that does it actually, but I think it's beneficial, because then you can get it's sort of like getting your max rep, right? Like what your 100% is, and then you can create a program based off of that.
Right.
So if you're a runner or an athlete and you say, okay, today I'm going to do 60%, I'm going to go 60% for a longer duration. Or if I'm going to do sprint intervals, and I look at my heart rate or however you track the VO2 max, right? I think it plays into oxygen and carbon dioxide and is relative to heart rate as well.
So I think it must,
right?
Because I think you're tracking heart rate as well, but it's like directly measuring your breathing in of oxygen, your expiration of carbon dioxide, and then I
must tie in with heart rate at some level. But I have a friend who's a breathwork instructor, and we kind of nerded out on a little bit of that stuff too. There's different tests that you can do that don't give you data, but you can feel it, right? Like if you're running, or walking or anything, you try to fully exhale, hold your breath for a given number of distance or time, and then you can measure that over time. So it's it plays with the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your body, where, to my understanding, the Bohr effect is you kind of want to have more carbon dioxide to be able to. You want to you want to be more comfortable with less oxygen.
Yes.
Right? So that your body can utilize the oxygen more efficiently. It'll pump up your red blood cells. It'll make you a better athlete, basically. And so I would be curious to test my VO2 max and then create a programming from that.
Right.
To be able to use.
So my thought is, if I were to get that machine, that I would want to like practice it or try it out in a fitness facility with different, like a bike versus a treadmill, just to see what works best and to kind of practice on fitness, clients and professionals. I don't know if Reba would be up for me bringing a VO2 max machine into Battleground, but
I'm sure she would. Yeah, that'd be fun. I know I would. You could test on me for sure. I'm curious about that stuff. There's so many great tech tools that are out there to measure and assess like where you're at physically. I have a friend over on Broadway, Ecotone Health, and he is kind of focusing more on like recovery. So he has like this TechR thing that's really cool. That like gets into the cells of the tissue and like helps repair them.
Oh wow.
Really cool stuff. But I did an assessment with him, and he's got this iPad where you do an overhead squat, you do like a single leg stand, you do all these, get into these different positions, and it'll tell you where you are. And it's got a huge database of people that have used it. And he's got a running one that like measures where your hips are going.
He's physical therapy?
He's a chiropractor.
Okay.
But what I've found too, and we could talk about this too, is that like professionals in this industry are kind of branching out and doing other things. Like a lot of chiropractors are getting into PT type of work. A lot of nutrition professionals are getting into the fitness world and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so cool. It's like part of the reason that I wanted this podcast to be a thing is like we're all in this together working for the similar goal, which is just better the community, right? To help people in our community.
And it's almost like everyone is having this desire to provide a more holistic approach. And I wish, and my hope is that medicine goes that route too.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people come in here and are like, well, my cardiologist told me this, but my rheumatologist said this. And then my general practitioner takes a totally different stance, and they don't talk to each other. It's like, how great would that be if, you could get everything under one.
That would be nice.
One roof, or at least have all your practitioners on the same page, talking to each other and having the same kind of whole person vision and approach. But
it takes a whole team of people to just, work with you and get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
It seems like that's like my beef with the medical industry now. It's like, everybody's so specific with everything they do, and you have to go see this person. It takes forever to get an MRI. I think that's silly. I think that should be one of the first things that you get. If you have an injury, let's look at what the problem is. It's just silly to me that, okay, you go to Ortho New York. This is what happened to me. Ortho New York, I had a back problem. They did an x-ray, said maybe I had a slip disc. 6 weeks of PT, then you can come back, and then if you don't feel any better, then you get an MRI. So it's like, wouldn't that physical therapist benefit from having the MRI to look at to assess my situation and be able to better make a program instead of just kind of poking around and thinking this is what, we think should happen, right? And like, if somebody comes and is presenting with any kind of metabolic disorder or whatever, it's like, okay, well, let's run all these tests and send you to a dietitian, right? And then you can look at that information, like, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't do the things that we need for us to have a better picture.
Right.
They just send you to these places and nobody talks to each other, like you said. It's frustrating.
Yeah. And even just, getting in to see a new doctor sometimes takes forever, and I feel like it shouldn't be that difficult to, better yourself, or to even just take care of yourself, you know, and to try to figure out what's going on in your body.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think doctors and people, family practitioners and even nurse practitioners and PAs need a nutrition education.
Yeah. They don't have much.
They do like one round of nutrition and then they go into their specific area of expertise. And I feel like nutrition is the foundation for a lot of these things that are happening, a lot of these comorbidities. Like, if you could just clean up your diet, it would help tremendously.
And then it's just tough because, clients come into me and they're like, oh, well, my doctor said to just avoid this, this, and this, or to eat this many calories, and they look to their doctor for the ultimate, like, that's the advice. That's what I have to follow. This is my doctor. Yeah. And then I'm trying to kind of, meet them where they're at and backpedal and be like, well, maybe we should. Yeah. It's tough because ultimately I don't want to step on toes, but it gets kind of complicated because patients expect their doctors to know the most out of anybody. Yeah.
And I feel like the older generation, like my mother's generation, will listen wholeheartedly and just do exactly what they say. And it's like, okay, there's a lot more information out there that some of these older doctors don't really know, or they're not able to keep up because they're so entrenched in their practice that they don't have the time to further their education or look outside the box at all.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom too.
Right?
Yeah. I'm like, Mom, no. That's not right,
Yeah. Oh my God. I've tried to tell my parents about. Yeah, my father had he's got type 2 diabetes now, and he's working through it. But forever I was like, just come work out. Like, I'll work out with you. I'll tell you about nutrition, whatever. Like, I'll even do it for you. Yeah. But they just don't want to listen. Yeah, that's tough.
Do they eat Greenfork?
Sometimes, yeah. My mother does. Yeah, she's good. My mother walks, multiple miles a day and eats pretty well. Nice. Yeah, so she's doing good. My dad, he just doesn't want to hear it, I guess. Yeah. Some people just don't want to. Yeah. But you do the best you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a question that I ask everybody. We can wrap up afterwards. And I'm sorry I didn't prep you for this, but your last meal. So I ask everybody this. If you were on death row for whatever reason, right, and you had one meal, it could be as much of anything as you want. It could be a little of this, a little of that, like whatever.
Oh, so I can pick like 2 meals.
You can pick as many as you want. You could snacks, beverages, whatever. It'd be your last thing that you could indulge in. What would it be?
Oh my goodness. So I'm thinking of some of my weaknesses, and I like simple food. I don't like even for Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Wow, tomorrow. I don't like the complicated stuffings with the nuts and the fruit and all and the meat. I just like it simple. Yeah. I think. So I have celiac. Okay. I think I would just eat like a really good pizza, maybe and not gluten-free.
Not gluten-free, right? Yeah.
I'm loving West Ave pizza. Or I love when we make homemade baked macaroni and cheese at home. Just simple, people sometimes put in pulled pork or all this stuff. Nope, I just like it simple and I almost can't stop myself. It's just such a comfort food. Yeah. But it wouldn't necessarily be anything with meat in it. I'm not a huge meat eater. Yeah. Why? What's yours?
It would be a big breakfast. It'd be all the breakfast. I would have a steak and eggs and hash browns and blueberry pancakes and sausage patties and tall beer, just why not? But I think it's interesting when you ask people like what their because it's basically what's your comfort food, right?
Yeah.
Like what would really make you feel good? And there's a whole aspect of the mental aspect of food that we could talk about. People's dopamine response to food and how it makes them feel and then the memories that are associated with it. So for me, like it would either be a big breakfast or like some lasagna, like some homemade lasagna, just smothered in cheese and sauce. And that just, like I'll eat that and then I can die happy. I can just sit in a chair and just veg out and not move at all. So
I think that the mac and cheese, you're right.
Yeah.
The mac and cheese, for me, it's something my mom used to make. And I remember her shredding the cheese, and I would just keep sneaking over and like eating the shredded cheese and just when it would come out of the oven with the golden brown top. So it's like a memory and a comfort. That's really, I hadn't even thought of that. Like, why do I love this so much?
Yeah. But it just goes to show like food can be much more than just nutrients. I think this is something I'm guilty of, and people in our profession, like we think of it as like, sometimes like we overanalyze or think about it as like the data points, like how much protein is this going to give me? How much fiber is in this? What is the vitamin and nutrient content here? When, it's not always about that. It's about like, getting together with people and sharing things and the feelings that food bring you rather than just, the data.
Yeah. And that I get like cringy when people are like, well, my macros were calculated for me. And so pretty much now that I know what fits, I just eat the same thing every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so
sad.
Who wants to live like that?
Yeah. You should be able to explore new things and try new things and, varieties of spice of life, different spices, different cuisines from other cultures. And, I think just being a foodie, like I have to do that, Right. I have my comfort foods. I like things plain and simple, just a good quality, like quality over quantity and whatever. Like a good chicken. Like I do chicken legs from Misty Knolls. They're like, it's great. So anyways, I'll do a chicken leg with like some roasted potatoes or rice and broccoli. And like, I could eat that all the time. And it's super simple. But, I feel like there's certain things that just give me a certain feeling and I'll kind of lean into that sometimes. Yeah.
You know what else I really do like, and I actually just got my son into it, is Indian food. And I've been making some different recipes, trying to anyway. It's very hard to recreate quality, good, authentic Indian food at home. But I think I could also, if it wasn't baked macaroni and cheese, just like an Indian takeout with all the different sauces, like the chana saag and the chicken korma and like just a little bit of everything. Oh, my pen's falling apart. Like all the different colors, and I don't know, I love that too.
It's great, right? And if you look at that nutritionally, like you're getting a lot of different colors, that's good, right? A lot of different vitamins, minerals. Yeah. Have you ever had Ethiopian food?
No.
There's like no place around here for it that I know of. If there is, let me know. But it's cool. You get like, it comes on this big plate, probably the size of this table, and it's on like a giant crepe sort of thing. And it's like a pile of lentils, a pile of beans, like it's mostly vegetarian or vegan. And so it's piles of these different like foods or sauces, and you rip off a piece of the pancake.
Oh, wow.
And eat it with your hands. And it's like an amazing experience and tons of different flavors and textures and everything.
I would love that.
Yeah, it's so cool. If I find one, I'll let you know where it is. But all right, we can wrap up. Excuse me. If people want to get a hold of you or reach out to you for your services or guidance or whatever, where can they get a hold of you?
So my website is pinnaclenutritionny.com. My email is lferrara, Ferrara, at pinnaclenutritionny.com. It's kind of long. So go to my website. Instagram, it's pinnacle_nutrition Saratoga.
Okay.
Any of those ways would work.
Cool. Yeah.
And be on the lookout for my program. I'm gonna launch it very inexpensive, mostly so it's a win-win. So the people who are participants will get something out of it. And so because I put a lot of work into it, I'll get just a little bit of money for my time.
Sure.
But I'm going to really want some feedback. So
yeah, cool. So that's going to be sort of like a calorie tracker, nutrition tracker in with the exercise?
No, it's actually walking you through what metabolism is, and then the different pillars that can help you optimize it. So it goes through fueling properly. There's the other 4 pillars that I talk about. So muscle and strength building, sleep, stress management, and then hydration.
Oh, I love it.
And then I go into, like we talked about some of the nutrition myths and like diets and all that stuff and things to watch out for. I don't know. It kind of dives into all that. So
that's great.
Yeah. Instead of, sending people with a book, we're going to do it as a group, kind of go through 5 weeks together.
Yeah.
There's a little quiz at the end of every week module. There's like my cheat sheet is in it. So I'm going to have the participants pull up their recent blood work and compare to the results. And there's going to be a chat, like a group chat feature in it. So I'm hoping I'm still playing around with the platform, but so I'm just hoping it won't go perfectly, but I'm just hoping to.
First one never does.
Yeah.
But that sounds very comprehensive and very, very good. That's awesome
so it would, and it's not going to really entail numbers. So if people wanted to come in after, I'll probably offer a discount for anybody who participates in that group program to come in and get any testing done. But that's really just the core of it is healthy eating and moving your body, and how can you prioritize and get better sleep, and ways to minimize stress, and like how can you really optimize your metabolism without even micromanaging and needing numbers and data and stuff. So it's learning and being able to identify and like inward check in with yourself and how are you feeling and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah.
The only other 2 pillars that I have with this Greenfork thing is spiritual and financial. But all those other ones are in there as well, like, managing your anxiety and or whatever it is, your stress. It's all very important. So awesome work. Thank you so much for the work you're doing in the community, and thank you for coming on and talking to me today.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. All right. Stay healthy, my friends.